Well, hey, howdy, hiddly, folkerinos. Today we got a video on making actual functional drawbridges. And although I think I had this idea vaguely before, it was mostly when I saw this tour on Zuma Arcade's dedicated server. Should probably check out his channel on that. It's got some pretty cool stuff. It's, well, basically a drawbridge out of water. It's made of custom stairs, and for some reason, from the look and feel of it, I think it was an accidental glitch, like not built on purpose by a mod or anything like that. Seems pretty functional as it was in its original place up top, and the rest of the base didn't feel particularly modded in. If you're going to mod, wouldn't this be bigger or better? We never found out who built it either. But anyways, I've been thinking about this for months. Unfortunately, by the time I was done my big base, and I'm now getting around to these smaller ideas, the stairs and a lot of other things actually have been patched out in the meantime to not be able to be placed on the crane. But luckily, in the meantime, I had been messing around with rafts, which at the time was mostly just me trying to figure out how to one-man a raft, which is usually a two-man job to drive. I eventually figured out that I wanted to put birdhouses on the raft in a kind of rough enclosure of sorts to kind of keep me right at the back over here while I was pushing it like this, so that I would have a nice stop thing behind me to keep me pushing, go with it. I don't know. I might try later, just really give it a lot of effort, but I gave up. But that's what made me realize that birdhouses could be used to make big, unique shapes. And so I recently put birdhouses on a crane as a sidecar for the sleds, even. And that actually made me go, hey, there's a great solution to that stairs on the crane problem for the drawbridge. And so here we are. You just follow the time-honored method of building a custom floor out to somewhere up on top of these rock walls stacked as little pillars. Although you might want to start the floor on one of these back ones, just because if the rocks over here get hit down, then the custom floor itself will stay alive. If you end it on the same one that it starts on, then just throw some stairs on, or whatever you feel like. And once you got your stairs on both ends, and you're good. And you can build a little bit higher than this, but I kind of like building it just at this level, and you look like you're standing on the water. Although maybe just to be able to see for the moment, you might want to throw on some temporary fences or something like that, so you can see where the edges of the platform are, so you don't fall off too often. So now that you got the main bridge section done, you can decide where you're going to lay down your drawbridge. You're probably going to want somewhere in the middle where it's deepest, although you don't necessarily have to. You just need wherever's deep enough to drown people. On this one, I think I might even go a little bit back right over here. Now, we need to make a custom floor wide enough for the crane to fit on, as well as give a little bit of extra space around you. So if you're having troubles getting an estimation for that, you can just turn it so it's facing approximately the right way. So if it's diamonded, then it'll be a bit different dimensions, and then you just estimate approximately where the crane is going to be temporarily on the seafloor, so you can see what you're doing, and then you can lay down more of those rock pillars, and then get your custom floor on top of that. Then once that's set, you don't need this guide blueprint anymore, so you can just delete that. Oh, one thing, you probably want to put the first and last anchor points on the probably the far outer rock pillar here, because if the main bridge section gets taken out by something, then you don't have to worry about the what's important, the mechanism here, getting taken out as well. Okay, so now we can build our crane. So build the blueprint here, take it out, and then gonna want to rotate it so that the rope section, the stationary rope section over there, is somewhere where you can grab it. I think I'll probably put it right about here. A good spot for me. And then another nice thing about these stick fences, it helps me align approximately where this is going to go. I think that's about straight. It's approximately good. It's a little bit off, but whatever. This isn't an actual base or anything I'm trying to build, so I don't care too much. So one thing to note is that we really have to care about the placement of these horizontal support struts right here. Because unlike what I actually thought when I first started messing with these birdhouses, it's not directly on this middle crane lift section where the birdhouses get placed. It's actually on the horizontal support struts. So you want to get it in some place that you can get access to it. And let's say for a sec that if I just build another crane over here for showsies, and then I put right about there, and I go ahead and build this up, then we end up with this nice little crane here, and we take it up, and say you're about right there with the crane lift section when you build a birdhouse on the horizontal support struts. Then if I place it right about here, and I grab the, let's see, that, then it'll move approximately in line with the crane lift section. But if, for example, I take the crane up here and I bring it up to, say, the highest spot right here, another level up, and I place another blueprint down, go right about here, it'll obviously be out of line with the crane lift section. This is good because the birdhouses can actually go through stuff. They don't have collision as opposed to, say, the crane, which ends right there. I can't force that into the ground, the same as on a floor right there. Well, unless you cut underneath it, but I'll get to that in a minute here. So after looking at it a minute, I think I'd rather actually have the poles on this side, so I'll put the stationary ground wire on this side as opposed to over here. Turn it 90 degrees. Now the poles are right over here. So now when I build this, I can just take my crane lift section up to level and go right ahead and, or actually I think I'll put it slightly below because I'm gonna cut out the floor of the main bridge section to make the actual drawbridge part. So I'm gonna take that back over here, go a bit higher even, and then go maybe right about here, or maybe instead of going a full section I'll just do one half section because it's pretty shallow here, so I don't necessarily want these touching the bottom. Although, now that I think about it, the birdhouses don't have collision with anything solid, so that shouldn't be an issue at all anyways. Another right out from each other, and then you get a nice extended section. And then actually once you place the first one down, you can bring the crane back down even lower so you get a better view of what you're working on. Yeah, see, I messed that up, so I'll just take my hole cutter and erase that error and just redo it again until I get the approximate width that I'm looking for. In this case, it's in line with the custom floor below, which I'm going to be cutting out. And then from there, I can just double up the length to match, well, I guess as far as I want to, really. I think I'll go with the size of a crane section and maybe a little bit more to add a buffer zone. And once you've got the drawbridge section all laid out, then you just add some rock walls as a temporary guides to see where you're going to want to cut your holes here. Got two on this side, two on the other side. And once you get the floor all cut out, it should look something like this. This is a drawbridge I actually had earlier, a little bit nicer looking, so I switched over here. But yeah, you just cut out the floor, and then I actually added this just a little shield just so that they couldn't, the enemies couldn't run and jump over at me, but I haven't even seen them trying that up until now, to be honest, so I don't even think I needed to do that. But yeah, we got our fully functional drawbridge crane here. Lower it down into place. Boom. It handles sleds. It handles enemies. It handles people. It handles whatever you can throw at it. So yeah, one thing actually with this other one here, I actually placed the things on the wrong side, so I had to start the birdhouses over here and just turn 90 degrees and come out this way. Place the horizontal struts the wrong place. Oh, no you don't, Mr. Cowman. Yeah, good night. Managed to damage some stuff, but you asleep in the waters. Yeah, I could sit and watch this for hours. Unfortunately, if you're like me, it's one thing you're probably noticing about this is that it's asymmetrical, which is kind of annoying. So, the question remains, how would one overcome that to make it even? And an even deeper question, how would one build this onto an existing base? Well, I found one way of overcoming it. To take, for example, your nice little sea base, pretty basic area to hang out here, nothing really too fancy. Although it happens to already have a bridge out to the mainland, which is kind of nice, as I would be having to build this legitly and bring resources over if this wasn't creative. Anyway, I take the top floor and I see if I can't find some way to add a nice little extension out onto it. Again, just using the standard method of the custom floor on top of these temporary rock walls here. And on this edition I built my crane. And since this all was kind of cute looking already, I decided to add the rock walls just to make it look nicer here. Although I did that last so that it wouldn't be blocking me during the whole build. So to get the height I was looking for on this roof section, I brought it all the way up here to the top, and then hopped down and grabbed the birdhouse blueprints here, and then laid them down obviously on the outside of the rock wall here. Just laid down my first row of them, and then I bring the sled or drawbridge right back down here again, the crane lift section, and then the birdhouses come right down with me. A little bit more and I can actually work on them. Although still not quite far enough to actually serve as drawbridge here, so I'm going to have to use a technique that I first saw on Merchrono's channel. It's just a manipulation of how the cranes work here. Basically, you just lift the crane out of the way a bit so you can see a little bit better, and then you take your hole cutter here, and then you start, well, you line it up first with where you can see all the stuff you don't want to cut. Oops, a bit too far here. And then right about there should be just enough for the crane. I'm going to push it a tiny couple degrees too far. There we go, right about there. Oh wait, is it one more inwards? No, it's right there. Just double check. You'd probably want to save before doing all this, but this is I know exactly what I'm doing, and I have the save ready, so I've already saved technically, so I'm all good to go like this. And that should give me full range of motion on the crane. Perfect. Now I just see how far out my crane is going to extend, mark it with these temporary rock walls as little guides, And then I can cut away this whole floor as well. Cut this hole on this floor, I should say. Then I hoist these birdhouses back up out of harm's way, whip out the hole cutter, and go to town. And there you've got it. For fully functional, fully symmetrical, kind of mostly hidden drawbridge. You could even further cover up this spot with rocks or what have you, but just make sure that you leave the rope unblocked, but either way. But yeah, same as the last one. This bad boy will let all the things you want cross and then hoist it on up out of their reach there. Watch them fall right into the water. Unless they suddenly get smart and decide not to quite walk all the way. Really, I did not hurt from that. Oh, no, there she goes. Bye-bye. I don't know why they're not cooperating coming at me, but it just demonstrates how well this works. The pathing doesn't even occur to them. Oh, maybe. Here we go. Come on, come on. Yeah, boy! Yeah! Oh, got another taker? Come on, maybe you can do a running sprint leap at me? Nope. Yeah, this works pretty well. But yeah, that's basically all I got for you today. So, hope this little strange lesson in building has helped you out in your future building endeavors.